Look who we got here today.
Hey, what's up?
Duke City Inspections. Come on in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Matt. Well, we're going to go out here and drive down the area by Rio Grande over here and let you kind of talk about what you're seeing out there in some of these resale homes and what some people are having to do to sell their home and make themselves feel comfortable about purchasing the home.
Yeah, so, boy, it's interesting looking at a used house for, that's most of the houses on the market is used houses. And, boy, they're used. It's interesting working with buyers and sellers. And the buyers, sometimes they want the house to be perfect. And,
right.
And then the sellers think their house is perfect.
Right.
And it's funny because, I own a home. And it's not perfect.
Right.
My house would have deficiencies on a home inspection. And I'm a home inspector.
Yeah, exactly.
I
think everybody's would, and that's where you come in to help guide them for those deficiencies.
Absolutely. So every house has little challenges, little things in it. It's funny, things that I live with and you live with in your house. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The home inspector comes in and says, boy, this is kind of a problem, and here's why. And we're selling it, we're like it's not that big of a deal. I've lived with this for years. It isn't. But the buyer's like, man, it's a problem. I really want this fixed. And sometimes sellers will get a little defensive of what they're selling. And boy, I tell you, as the inspector, it's kind of a tricky line to walk sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, spend 10, 15, 20 years inside their home and they become very attached to that home.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things are tied with it. And that's where me and you come in.
It's true.
To help everybody through it so they don't have those freak out moments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, when I'm representing a buyer on a house, my hope is to help to give them a very honest opinion, I want them to know kind of what they're buying without setting off unnecessary alarms, help to keep things in perspective. I think the inspection process might be the pinnacle of stress in a home
transaction.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of things sound worse than they are.
Yeah, they do. Well, especially when you read the report, because the reports are all just black and white. There's just like, this is wrong, and then there's red coloring on it or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh.
And red's always going to go with alert. But the good thing is that if we get the problems found, and then we get a resolution in place, now those things are taken care of, where they might not have been shown up for 6 or 7 months, and then you're already moved into the house.
Correct.
And there's no good.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of there's a handful of things that I see on a regular basis. One of the things that I'll see is a water heater. Water heaters will be aging out. They'll be starting to have some problems. As you're living in the house, you may not even notice it because hot water's still coming out. Right. Like the water's still coming out of the pipe. It doesn't. I don't know. I turn it on, take a hot shower. How often do you go out there and look at all the pipes and
condensation and all the buildup that is piled into the bottom of that water heater?
Yep. Yeah. And then a home inspector comes through and finds the corrosion on the pipes on the top, or finds corrosion on the tank, and then you got corrosion or rust on the tank. Well, man, now it's a ticking project. That thing's got to be replaced, and the water's still hot, but and if you're going to keep living there as the seller, if you're going to keep living there, you think, I'll just replace it whenever it finally goes out.
Absolutely.
Right?
The bottom falls out, and then you have water everywhere.
Yeah.
And now you've got a water extraction problem.
Yeah, right.
No good.
But the buyer says, I'm not moving into the house with that. That's a problem. It needs to get fixed now. And it's funny how we tolerate different things.
Absolutely. Well, since we were talking about the water heater real quick, I've seen in several cases where the blow-off valve has not been adequately vented out to the side of the house with adequate plumbing and such. Do you find that to be a big problem?
Yeah, so they call it the TPR valve, the temperature pressure relief valve. So in case of the water tank overheating, rather than the tank blowing up or something crazy, it blows that valve, and then now it's shooting really hot water out of the side. And
Right.
so there's a pipe that fits to that and then routes through and goes outside the house to get that water out. But if you don't have that, if the pipe's not there,
Right.
then you're just going to be spraying really hot water
everywhere. And you could be
everywhere.
right in front of that when it happens. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
And then you want to shut your water heater off to stop the problem. We can't even get to it because now there's
Scalding
hot water all over the place. Yeah, and you know
Absolutely.
it's a mess. You know they put the building standards in for a reason. You know,
Right.
the building codes in for a reason, and so they
And the codes keep getting better and better and better, and that's why they keep having to do these upgrades and things to these homes, correct?
yeah. So like a brand new house, they're all built to the most recent standards. They're not changing the standards for fun.
Right.
But they're changing the codes and the standards because they realize that there's a safer way to handle things. So, right, like on modern houses, new houses, I think it was around 2015 they started incorporating earthquake straps or seismic straps on the water.
On the water heaters.
Yeah, because I mean, I know you think we don't have all that many earthquakes here in Albuquerque, but if that tank were to fall over,
My gosh, that would be
it'd be catastrophic.
catastrophic.
Yeah, it'd be catastrophic. And you can go online and look at water heaters blowing up on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of damage. And so, they think, well, gee, a couple of straps to the wall, and then that thing won't fall over. I know we don't have a lot of earthquakes.
Right.
But
we
there's
still
other-
have shifting, though.
We do have shifting.
We
and
still have shifting.
I got kids, and maybe somebody else has kids, and your boys or your girls are in the garage doing something, playing around. and-
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they could knock that thing over. It's not just earthquakes that could knock it over, and so they have these straps now to put it up and to keep it from falling over. And then they have expansion tanks, and they have drip pans underneath, and all the new standards and the building codes that they keep improving,
Which
and
are
it's all
helping in
safety.
case of a failure.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And you're out to make sure those things are in place.
Yeah.
So when the buyer buys the home or the seller sells the home, they feel confident that the home was given in a great shape
Sure.
for the customer.
Yeah. As a seller, if you could imagine, you sell a house and then you find out 30 days later something catastrophic happened, and boy, you could have prevented that. As a seller, you don't want that on your
Absolutely.
mind or
Conscience.
on your conscience. I mean, no, you weren't maliciously trying to do anything, but something could have happened, right? And so it's like,
Absolutely.
boy, if you just had known, I think most of us would just fix the safety issue.
To mitigate it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, another thing I like to go on is roofs and swamp coolers.
Yeah.
Right?
Good,
The
yeah.
notorious roof and swamp cooler.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make sure when they buy their house that they have a roof that's going to work, because right now, as it's snowing outside,
Isn't this great?
this is great. New Mexico, all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
it.
I know, yesterday it was beautiful,
It
sunny.
was gorgeous, and today we got snow. Skiing.
Funny, this place is awesome. I love Albuquerque.
Love Albuquerque, New
Yeah.
Mexico, for sure.
Yeah.
So
People want a good roof.
they want a good roof.
Yep, they want a good roof, and I was on a house just even yesterday and looking at it. It was a 1972 house, but it had a fairly new roof, and so the buyers are excited about that. Sure, the house might be 60 something years old, but it's got a new roof, so it's like, all right, well, this is going to hold up a little while longer, and people want to know that. They want to have a good roof if they're buying a house, and a roof's pretty expensive,
Right.
It's not uncommon to find $10,000-$20,000 for a new roof, depending on multiple factors, and even more depending on. There's a lot of factors involved in roofing, and so when you look at the big ticket items, I tend to tell my clients that you're hiring me to find the $1,000 problems. I'll happen to stumble across some $10 problems as well, and I'll put those in the report. But the $1,000 problems are the ones you want to be on the lookout for.
Absolutely be taken care of. And
Yeah.
especially if you're buying the house, you don't want to go in unless you know about it and put $10,000 into that house.
Yeah.
Knowing about it and making the decision to do it is one thing.
Yep.
And then making the decision and knowing about it after it, now that's another.
That is another thing. My job is to help people not have surprises.
Right.
Yeah,
Because surprises in real estate will never be good. That will never make a real estate stressful. It isn't ever.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want surprises.
Yeah, exactly. And with you coming in and seeing these homes, you've got the eye, you've got the expertise, you've got education in finding and knowing what you're looking for.
Yep. Yeah.
You've got the tools to be able to see in the walls and see if there's leakage in water.
Yes, I have a thermal camera. It's a pretty popular tool that I have. Quite a few home inspectors will have that. A thermal camera, they can see the hot and cold spots in the walls. So if we suspect something going on, we'll pull out thermal cameras and kind of look deeper.
I would hope all inspectors have thermal cameras.
Yeah.
But I know you do.
I do.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
You know, we use all kinds of tools. I have moisture meters, thermal cameras, and you know, sometimes you don't need all that. You really, you know, a lot of it is just training and knowing what you need to be buying and what you need to be looking for.
Right. And that's the big thing. That's where your education and expertise comes in. Because you're going to be able to pull that Band-Aid off or pull that string and be able to find what's really going on behind.
Correct.
The walls and the roof.
Yep.
Now, swamp coolers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about swamp coolers. I know when we go into new homes, nobody's doing swamp coolers anymore. Everything is going to be refrigerated air. Yeah. But with our previously used home, you're going to probably have a swamp cooler out here in New Mexico.
Yeah, a lot of swamp coolers.
What are some of the things that you would be looking for around that swamp cooler when you inspect it?
Well, so rust is probably the number one issue. So you're dealing with adding humidity to the air. That's how the swamp cooler works. It adds humidity. Well, humidity also fosters a condition for rust. And so you have that kind of high humidity environment all in that swamp cooler there. So a lot of times they'll get rust on the legs. They'll get rust in different areas. There's bearings for the fan.
Yes.
And so sometimes those will start to get corroded and rusted, and the grease, maybe they haven't been maintained well, so now the grease has run down and now corrosion's gotten in there, and now you get that little bit of a squeaky chirp. You know,
like a squirrel cage.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, and then it only starts when you want to go to bed at night, though. Yeah, I've learned that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's when the fan belt's going to break.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it's going to start leaking.
Swamp coolers are a really simple device.
They are,
and they're cheap to fix.
They are.
So the only big expense on swamp coolers is when the actual main frame or pan gets rusted.
Right.
So when the legs get rusted, well, you can take those off and put another one on. You can change out a water pump or a motor, or for a couple $100 here and there, you can kind of patch up a cooler. But once your main pan and your main frame is rusted,
you're done.
It's done.
Now it's a new one.
Now it's a new one, right?
$600 to $1,000.
Yeah, $600 to $1,000. Maybe a little more if you're buying a nicer one, like a single pad unit, like a master.
Because they're probably going to come up there and find out that your roof needs replacing too.
That's how that works, isn't it?
And that is always how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you got to buy it. And you got, and if you can put it in, great. But most of the time, people are going to hire someone to put it in.
Sure.
So.
Here's something that I think a lot of people miss. I have a flat roof. Never had a leak ever in it. Nice. But I take care of my penetration points.
Yeah.
How many times do you see that if they would have just taken care of the penetration points, would that roof have lasted another 10 years?
Yeah, easy. I saw a house the other day, and they said they put a new roof on it 10 years ago. It surprised me because the roof had not had any maintenance in 10 years.
Right.
So they never went through and redid the flashings and penetrations and parapets, and you have to service that stuff.
Sure.
And if you don't, it'll wear out fairly quick.
Sure.
So you can get 20 years out of a flat roof if you take care of all your maintenance items on that roof.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really, if you have a swamp cooler, you're already on your roof, a couple times a year anyway. So walk around that roof, look at the flashings, the penetrations, where all the pipes come through. Normally they're tarred up. So look and see, is that tar starting to split? Is it starting to crack?
Is there a place for water to penetrate?
Yeah, water to penetrate. There's it's alligatoring is the term they use. So if the black flat tar spots are starting to look like alligator skin,
right,
that should be a point of concern. And then you just bring a roofer up to do your maintenance on that. And if you catch it early enough, it's hundreds, not thousands.
Right. Guys, it's always good to have a good roofer to know at any time so he can maintain that roof and look at it. We get 110-degree weather sometimes out here. I mean, that's going to contract, expand, cause dry out.
Yep.
Am I correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
And that's where, guys, you think your house is just 5 years old, but man, it's been through heck in New Mexico.
It has.
What were you going to say?
I just inspected that house.
Oh, did you really? Look, guys, we're driving around, and here's one he inspected. How did it go through? How was the inspection?
Inspection went great. There was a few minor. It's a new house, a fairly new house, and upper end house, and there were a few. If I remember properly, there's a few minor repairs. The buyer, asked for those repairs with the seller. They agreed upon it, and as far as I know, that it is going well. I think it's scheduled to close.
Well, that's great. And to see, guys, look, it's just a brand new house, a couple years old, and it still has some issues. So it is always good to get an inspection before you purchase a home and have the educated person help you through that process, so you don't have that stress problem with the water heater or the swamp cooler or the dishwasher, any of those things. You go through all the appliances, you check everything and make sure all those things are done. Because, guys, there's nothing like having a pipe bust at 12 o'clock at night when you've got to get up for 6 o'clock in the morning for work.
Especially if you could have fixed it.
Exactly.
And
that's when you snap your fingers and go, oh, I should have done that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Guys, it's been a great time sitting out here with Matt from Duke City Inspections. Guys, we work good together. I use him on my deals, and we're going to get him to inspect your house and see how that house was performing in the last years before you've purchased it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, give me a call, 505-897-3334. I'll get you that home that you want. I'll get you to the mortgage. I'll get you to the inspection, and we'll have an A to Z process, stress-free. And that's what it's about, right, Matt?
That's right. Stress-free as possible.
Matt, I appreciate you coming along today and
thanks.
driving around in the neighborhood, and I'm glad to see one over there that you did.
Yeah.
You probably got, with the little bout of homes that are on the market right now, you're probably out running like crazy on all these homes.
It's a little wild, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The markets are very different right now.
But people are getting inspections, and that's what the matter is, because you want to make sure that you get something good. Your investment's got to be protected, guys.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Until the next session, have great real estate deals. Bye-bye.